everyone. Welcome back to Always Open. It's our season premiere. We've missed you guys. It's been so long since we've been here, and I'm so happy to be back doing the show. And today on our premiere, we have a group of incredible guests, starting with...
Hello, I'm Griff.
Yo!
Hell yeah!
Hi, it's me, Jessica.
Yes, Jessica! And very special guest,
Troy Baker.
one of our favorite guests of all time for the show, and you're here for the premiere.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I mean all of you guys.
I don't ever want to assume
I've
that
never
it's me. I hope that it's me secretly inside. Like I would have died a little bit inside. She's like, yeah, Jed, we're not talking about you, Troy. But like, yeah, no,
Yeah, and I've never been on, so.
It's true.
Yeah, it ended.
We finished Always Open, or we ended the first kind of run of the show during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that was when Griff was still in sales.
I was in
He wasn't
sales.
doing
Oh my
a
God.
lot of camera stuff.
This is my bit, was being in sales. It was just a bit,
nice.
though.
Is that
I
a
feel
city?
super honored then.
Yeah,
I live in Sales.
yeah.
It's a small province outside of Edmonton.
It's more of a municipality, but
I went to take a drink at the awful moment.
it's unincorporated. I have to pay taxes twice. It kind of
didn't even
sucks.
I choked on my own spit. Coming out of the gate strong. All right.
Well, I'm so glad you guys are here for the premiere.
Yeah.
I am too.
New show, new channel. We're
Who
on the
dis?
All
New
Good No
set.
Worries channel. New set. We're living the dream.
I'm
New
excited.
chairs. Well,
chairs.
new chair covers.
It's true. These are old chairs that we had in the studio that we made nicer for the set.
It's like
Yeah.
a wedding, right? Little something
Yeah.
old, something new, something orange, something stolen from
These are blue.
a friend. Those are blue.
Yeah.
Pillows are blue.
Pillars are
My
blue.
favorite thing about the set, though, I love these neon flowers.
Yeah.
I love them.
They're very cute.
They are.
They match
see
your
them in the
little
wild.
guy.
Yeah.
That's your shirt.
Yeah, and if you are listening to this on audio platforms, you could see the visual for it on youtube.com/@allgoodnoworries. It's a new channel, Fem Run channel with Fem Run content, all types of fun stuff, always open every single week. So come subscribe.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what else is there. There's other stuff probably at this point, but
No, this is the premiere. This is the first
next
thing.
week. Hey, next week there will be more stuff.
Yeah, on Thursday, I believe there will
Yeah.
be the next thing.
Time is a construct, man. I don't really believe.
Just period. You
That's
just
a
don't
period.
believe.
That's it.
No, I
believe.
hard
Yeah.
agree. I think all time happens at once.
What do
Dude,
you mean by that?
I think that all time is happening and not happening at once.
So like your past is happening right now
Yeah.
too, and your future.
yeah, like we're here right now doing a podcast, but also there's like some peasant mucking out a barn somewhere, like right where we're sitting.
So how would you describe the theory of relativity then?
I don't know, but I think that's what people think they see when they see ghosts.
Oh,
You're
like,
not
okay.
wrong.
Interesting.
Yeah, I also
Okay.
think everyone is everyone. Does that make sense?
No.
I think that when people say interesting, that's a very kind way of going, I disagree with you.
It's more that I
But
was
I-
like, because my thoughts on ghosts are probably different than yours.
Oh yeah, you
bro.
have the ghost
Yeah.
podcast.
I'm gonna back out. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm gonna take over this train real fast. We start talking about anything
Yeah.
spiritual. I'm like,
If it makes you feel better, I don't have very strong opinions on ghosts.
I don't really
I'm
either
easily
as I
swayed.
get older.
I only have strong opinions on one ghost, and
Which
his name
one?
is Gary.
Who's Gary?
Who's
Fucking Gary.
Who's Gary? Tell us.
He's Troy's personal ghost,
What?
right?
Go on.
How lucky of you.
Gary knows.
So yeah, how lucky I am.
Wait, was Gary the one messing with the mic?
I think
Yes.
so.
Gary is the one messing with Mike's.
He just
No, sorry. Gary is the one messing with Mike, who is your ghost.
They go way back.
They go way
Well,
back.
that's what the Ouija board told me back when I was
Yeah.
in high school.
Are
I had
you
a ghost
regretting
named Mike.
starting this podcast?
Not at all. No, this is exactly what I wanted. I love it. No, it's great to be back. It's been a while since we've done this show. Jessica, tons of history doing Always Open.
I love it. It's my favorite.
Troy, you've I think done it like three episodes, 4
Three
episodes.
times. I know that there's a meme of me on this, which is fun. And it's Thursday.
Yep.
All I know is like whenever I type in Thursday, the meme goes, "It's Thursday" or whatever it is, and I was like, "What did I say?"
It me.
Yeah,
It me.
and you look at that once a day, right?
Yeah.
Once
a week
I will
on
just
Thursday.
constantly.
On Thursday.
My entire like photo album on my phone is nothing but memes of me
That makes sense.
And Gary.
That
and
tracks.
Gary, but you can't see Gary because you can't photograph him, so it's just a blank screen. People are like, "What is that?" It's like it's a
Gary.
ghost.
Didn't get it. It's ghost stuff.
I want to hear about Gary. We can offline about it. I just want to know about him a little
Yeah.
bit more.
Yeah,
Is he
we-
single?
I can give you his number.
Cool.
Get that
What's
ghost
his number?
dick.
000
His number is dead.
or 666.
It's it's
666 is better.
it's 8 followed by several zeros because it just goes ooh.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say boob.
Nah,
Like
just
8008.
I spelled boobs with my phone and analog.
Gary's also 16.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
He died tragically.
So we have a ton to get into on today's episode. I kind of wanted to theme it around new beginnings, but new beginnings with things that are somewhat familiar to you. So something that sparked this, Troy,
Yes.
The Last of Us.
How crazy is it, right?
So you voiced Joel in the Last of Us video game. For those of you who don't know, I don't know who
There's
doesn't
three
know that.
people.
There's three.
There's three. Now they know.
And that was
Fake gamers.
roughly 10 years ago.
We started, like, if I remember correctly, we started in November of 2009 is when I walked in for the audition. Maybe 2008. I may be a year off. And then we proceeded to shoot that game just kind of like the Avatar style, wearing the weird suits on a soundstage for 2.5 years. And then they still had to finish the game after that. So it's kind of done like in these little train cars to where we were like, here we're focusing on Boston, here we're focusing on the outskirts, here we're focusing on, and for the most part we got to shoot somewhat linearly, but then we would have to go back and pick stuff up, like the what's called the truck ambush scene, which was in episode 4. We shot that scene like I think 5 times because we were just constantly iterating on it and trying to get it right.
Wow.
But so yeah, I've been a part of this franchise for over 12 years now, and I watched it go from a long shot from Naughty Dog to being literally the #1 show on television that's just become a cultural phenomenon.
Yes. Oh,
That's
I
the
love
perfect
it.
way to describe it.
It's the conversation. It is the conversation.
That
I
gave
don't-
me
yeah.
chills.
I don't know a single person not watching and obsessing over it. I
Like,
mean, just
even
like
if you're
the
not a
game.
gamer, it's just a
Absolutely.
good show. And then you're like, oh, now I'm going to go look at the game.
Yeah.
And then it's back and forth.
Neil Druckmann put it best. He was at a wedding, and he said, you know, at a Jewish wedding, there's a wide swath of demographic there. And he goes, everyone from 9 to 90 knew what The Last of Us was.
Wow.
So it's like, that is a true litmus
crazy.
test. You've
But
done
one
something.
person right in the middle at 50 like was like,
I don't have a television.
Yeah.
I don't watch the shows.
I read the paper.
I
What,
read the
what do you
paper.
want?
like an adult.
Is that my uncle?
No.
It was like, are you being,
Mankiewicz. I don't know.
being Danny
For no
Dunkelman?
reason.
Yeah. But something very cool just happened. When this episode is coming out, it's going to be early March,
Yeah.
right after a very special episode just premiered.
On a very special episode of The Last of Us.
Last of Us.
You know, I learned
Previously.
something today. Troy goes down to the basement of a bike shop. It's not good.
So at the time of recording this, none of us have seen this yet.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a little spoiled.
Okay.
Which I think is totally fine. It's
You
totally
played the
worth it.
game.
Yeah. I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Well, here's what's funny is just because, and this is the great opportunity that we have with the show, is there's so much stuff that we got to explore that you just can't do in a game.
Absolutely.
#1, you're playing as this character, so you need to kind of see the world through their eyes. And then we did something that was really, novel in some ways, and we flipped that character twice. So you start off in the game playing as Joel's daughter, Sarah. She meets an untimely end, and then Joel is who you're mainly playing in up to the certain point where now you're playing as Ellie.
Yeah.
And so we got to kind of look at that, but we're still forced to look at the world through one set of eyes at a time. And what the show gives us the opportunity to do is go, well, let's pull away from them for a second and let's see what's happening through this person.
Yeah.
And so we get
Absolutely.
to experience it through Tess, or we get to experience it through Bill and Frank, which was episode 3.
You can't even like mention that episode
know.
without me getting like
Yeah,
choked up.
that was
I've watched it. I can just look at somebody and go, strawberries, and they just start crying. It's like,
Incredible.
strawberries.
Incredible.
It was truly incredible.
It was
I think.
Speechless.
like no words to describe.
Yeah.
I feel like after filming that, Nick Offerman, when he got home, he was just like,
yeah, just kind of like chuckled to
like he
himself.
knew, like
Yeah.
he was like,
That's
Yeah.
gonna absolutely destroy
Yeah.
millions of
yeah,
people.
like I feel like after if you give a performance like that and you just like, oh yeah, that
Yeah.
was it.
It's like,
That
you know
was
you
it.
did.
Yeah.
The reason why I think that episode specifically did so well and was received so well is because it was handled with such care. There's a temptation to go, look at us tick the diversity box, and look at us have a show, and now we have representation. We're talking about a same-sex couple. But that to me would have been such a shortfall of the opportunity, which is the conversation. The show is actually about, what does love look like? And that's the running theme throughout all of this is love is terrifying. And we deal with that in every episode. So what does love look like between two gay middle-aged men in this world. And so in order to do that, Craig Mazin did a really wonderful thing, and Neil Druckmann as well. Craig was like, I can tell this story. I'm a white middle-aged dude, but I'm straight. I need help with this, and I want to do this justice. So I'm going to hire Peter Hoare, who was the director of that, who is a gay, middle-aged, married man.
Oh, so he knows what's up.
The editor is a gay, married, middle-aged man.
Knows what's up.
So
The
he knows what's up.
cinematographer is a gay,
Perfect.
white, middle-aged, married man. So that lens now literally is the way that we're viewing this entire story through. And the thing that surprises me is the original cut was 2 hours.
I wish it was.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Craig said it hurt too much. It hurt
Yeah.
too much to watch. But yeah, so
Release it. Release the Craig cut.
release the Mazin edit.
I mean, even cut down to, what was it, an hour?
Hour and 15.
Hour and 15?
Yeah.
It was a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a complete story, like beginning, middle, end, beautiful all the way through. Just so incredibly told.
And I always watch the special features at the end of the episodes, and Craig was saying how they made the deliberate decision to, because it's not, we don't really see the backstory in the game of
No.
those two
It's like
characters.
one line, right?
No, Frank is literally a dangling feet in a bad Hawaiian shirt in the
Yeah.
game. And Bill is a very different character because he serves a different character. I mean, the people who were up in arms about, I was like, I can't believe you did it gay. It was like, Bill is
Bill
gay.
is gay. Yeah,
Again,
he
it was-
mentioned
Bill's
yeah.
gay in the game.
I think, is it just the? If I can't remember. Is it just the one line, or is it mentioned more times than once?
He says in the very beginning, I had someone I cared about, a partner.
Yeah.
And they kind of gloss over it. And later when they find Frank, he says, this is Frank. He's my partner. And Joel puts the connection together, goes, got it. And then that decision was made. Neil had an idea. I was like, I want to, this is the character that I'm presenting to W. Earl Brown, who played it in the game. And then later on, it was decided that this would be something that we would build upon. It would be an element of the story that these two were partners, and what does that look like? And so Craig was able to take that story. God, I keep bumping into stuff. Sorry,
Microphones.
The mics are too good.
I know.
Craig decided to, let's really explore that, and this gives us an opportunity to still speak to the main story, but then be able to.
Which I
tell that.
appreciate, because once he was talking about, well, this is when we're going to deviate from the game. I was like, I'm so glad that you did. I don't know. It just made
Yeah.
the whole entire story a little bit. I know that there's everything online going up. There were
Oh
some
my
people that
God.
liked it or didn't like it, but
Well, there were two people that didn't like it, but they also
Yeah.
didn't watch it. So
Yeah,
that's-
exactly. There you go. There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think
But-
that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
all of that the whole reason why I say that is we have an opportunity to kind of bring up new characters like we did with Kathleen. We also have the opportunity to kind of explore characters that were quickly glossed over, like Frank, and that's kind of where my character sits. Is I play James, who is one of David, who was clearly prominent in the game. We build upon him more in my episode.
How was that experience? Because these people are the same people who made Chernobyl, which
Yeah.
is an incredible masterpiece of a show. And then obviously Last of Us, which is just incredible to watch. How was it getting to be directed by this team and working with this team and in this production, but also as a character that wasn't your own originally in this franchise?
I mean, honestly, my character James was played originally by Ruben Langdon, who's a great actor and an amazing stunt performer. And we just bring in Ruben. It's like, you need to die as this person. He's like, okay, just get killed a lot.
You got it.
So, spoiler, you can kind of see where it's going with my character. Nobody lasts long in this world.
No.
This is clearly Joel and Ellie's story, so that's who we're going to be following. But for me, I've done on camera stuff before. I've done film and TV. I have never in my life been on a production of this size. I mean, it was a juggernaut. It took over Calgary, and we got to film in some
Which, by the
beautiful
way,
locations.
cold, huh?
Yeah.
You guys make up temperatures. This is what's so funny. I call my friend and go, hey, I'm going to Calgary. She's like, woof, never been. I went, you're Canadian. You're supposed to know everything about all. She's like,
All of it.
yep, never been.
Man,
Like,
your friend is weird.
never far. So it was last year was a very cold year for me. I started
Yes.
off in Calgary, then I spent time in Europe and like Scandinavia, and that was very cold as well. But I'm sitting in this huge production, and I'm surrounded by literally there's a cast and crew of 1,000 people, and we're beside this beautiful river in this gorgeous, I mean, like the location that we're at, there was a lot of production design that went to it, but this was an actual, just like somebody went and said, we need to shoot this scene here. It's beautiful, pristine, actual snow. It's super cold. And we're about to go picture up. Well, a lot of times you're like, you're shooting summer for winter.
Yeah, fake snow.
This was like, we have heated thermal. I had clothes that were battery operated.
Yeah.
It was so cold. And warming tents. And I had to be very careful because if you change your body temperature too much, if you go like 30 degrees off, you can actually get sick. And so I was like, I need to stay cold. But we're standing here, and I'm looking at this set that they did build, this building that's going to be our sawmill if you played the game. It's this beautiful set piece, and I'm just looking around and going, oh my God. I kind of laughed to myself, and Scott Shepard, who played David, is next to me, goes, what are you laughing about? It's not funny. We're about to have to do a really serious scene. I was like, if you could go back a decade and tell the person that walked into this audition what would be happening now, I literally would not be able to fathom it.
Yeah.
And it's been surreal. So what was it like? It was the term humbling comes to mind, because I knew that I was there through the good graces of the showrunners who, gave me the opportunity, but it was still my opportunity to either sink it or swim it. And I felt that pressure. I'm working with a director that I've never worked with before, Ali Abbasi, who has his own take on it, and I've never been on a stage or a set with The Last of Us that wasn't Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So I'm like, this is not how we do it, and I kind of wanted to jump into that rhythm. I'm like, hey, can we talk about the scenes? And he was like, no, you know what to do. I'm just, he goes, I don't think you should do too much prep. I'm like,
but that's not what I'm used to.
Yeah, but I mean, I appreciate what he's talking about. Like, let's just go in and find it on the day. But I don't believe in being rehearsed, but I do believe in being prepared.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think the difference is rehearsed is, no, I need to walk in these steps, and then prepared is, I'll throw it away, or we go on a different trail. But it was one of the most challenging things I've ever done physically. There was a lot of stunts that we got to do that I had a wonderful stunt performer and a stunt double that got to do a lot of the heavy lifting, but they let me do a few things that I was, down for.
That's what I was going to ask.
What was the best one?
The best one is the long. It's a long tracking shot. We're chasing after Ellie, and I go hauling ass around this house. I have to make a quick left turn on actual ice, and so I'm wearing crampons so that I don't slide. And I have to haul ass run down this through this backyard, clock Ellie as she's running through trees, and then clock this gate that's in front of me, and then plant my left foot on a tree stump, single plant over the chain link fence, and then hoof over it while carrying a rifle, 20-pound rifle.
Okay.
And just stunt double.
Did you ever bust ass?
Yeah.
I didn't fall once. I didn't
impressive.
fall once. After about the sixth or
No,
seventh time.
we didn't say fall. We said bust ass.
Yeah.
Well, I busted my ass. But what was funny was after the sixth or seventh time, I was like, man, I feel like I'm flying over. And the second unit director was like, you want to see it? I'm like, yeah. I was like, hey. It felt like I was flying, and just like a little herp.
Where it's like so cool in your head, but then
They kept it in there, though. It kept it in. So just know when you watch it, that I felt like I was doing this Herculean. I look like fucking Jason
watch
Bourne
it
coming over
in
this fence.
slow motion.
It looks even worse. I'm like, here, merge. And every time was just a roll of the dice. I was like, oh, this could be it. Something was gonna go. I'm 46, so like I'm not like some 20-year-old kid that can like break my leg and put it back together again and keep running.
After we watch it, we're gonna message you. I don't know. You didn't look as cool.
You know what I mean? I was like,
I'm gonna say
it
you
was
look
hard
even
for
cooler.
me. It was very hard for me, kids.
No, it sounds hard. Everything that you're like having to do all that and remember it and make sure like that's.
And then I
Especially
get
with
to
the
slam up
pressure
against
of
a
that
tree and like, it's awesome. It was a badass scene.
And then we haven't seen the episode,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing your character does not make it.
It meets an untimely end.
Yeah.
It's not great. But the and Bella Ramsey, I can't say enough about him because
She is so fantastic.
it's not fair. Like, first of all, for Neil,
They are fantastic.
and this is something that Craig will pass along as well. There's a conversation that was started with, and I don't want to speak for Bella at all, but there was a conversation that Bella started as far as pronouns and stuff. And I love the notion of gender fluidity, especially especially at 19. And I'm a dad, and you and I have talked about this too. I have a 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old son named Traveler. And
He's almost 5?
can you believe that?
That's not true.
No. COVID, like 2 years
That's
just
not.
vanished.
Yeah.
But like Traveler, when he was about 2, I guess we were. I mentioned something on the phone to Barbara about he like pointed out a girl or whatever, and Barbara was like, "Are you teaching him about non-binary?" And I was like, "No, because I don't want anything to be tied to identity and gender right now. That will come later, but right now I want him to see a person and a human, and not that's a boy and that's a girl."
Yeah.
Because
This is what boys do, and
right,
this
this is how
girls
boys
do.
dress.
Yeah.
He's got hair down to his butt.
Best hair in the world.
Best
by
hair in the
way.
world.
So
And he gets
jealous.
called all the time. He's like, "Oh, she's a good girl. She's got this." And if we're going to be around those people
Yeah.
for more than 30 seconds, I'll give him the opportunity. He's like, "Do you want to correct him or not?" If he doesn't, I'm like, "Sure, man. Go live the rest of your life thinking you met this. I don't care." But there is an opportunity to have a great conversation about, is that me or is that anybody else?
Getting a bit of static on the headphones,
Yeah.
just making sure we're okay still on audio. Okay.
Cool. I think there is a great conversation to be had right now, and Bella is a part of that as far as talking about gender identity. What I can say, though, is because I kept catching myself, too, because out of respect, I wouldn't want to call you, well, Denise over here. It's like, that's not my name. It's like, if that is a part of your identity, I want to make sure that I'm properly addressing you. I don't care either way.
Did you guys put pronouns on the call sheet?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But what's interesting about Bella is they don't care. It's like he, she, okay, fine. It depends. And if you ever look at Bella, the notion about the gender fluidity, which is what I love, is, and this is not a new conversation. If you look back, like Mick Jagger was talking about this, David Bowie was talking about this, Steven Tyler talked about this. David Bowie specifically was like,
Prince.
I am both male and female. If you look at me, like there is and I believe that we all are. Look at me. I definitely have both elements of that. And I think that most people are like, I'm a man and I'm a woman. Are like, well, there's a part of you that you're not even exploring. I'm not talking about sexually. I'm just talking about you as a
I'm
person.
also just Jessica.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Like, and
don't know.
that to me is what Bella's like. I just want you to see Bella. I don't
Yeah.
want you to be like, because the thing that I've realized about Bella is to get tripped up over the pronouns is
Yeah.
not something that Bella wants.
Right.
But anyway, that's a wonderful little tangent, but I feel like I'm stealing this.
No.
No.
It's a fascinating discussion.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think like we're all so excited for you.
Yeah.
And this is just, I don't know. When I first heard that a TV show was going to be happening, I was just so excited to see it, first of all, because I felt like that game is so primed to be explored deeper the way it has been in this show, and
Sure.
to kind of see these offshoots of these different characters and to explore the world a little bit more. And I believe this was something that you've said a number of times about The Last of Us, how it's not a zombie game.
No.
It's a
To your point, Griff.
Yeah.
As far as like not playing,
I'm scared.
not a zombie game.
there are definite moments of whether you watch the show, whether you play the game, or both, because it's not an either or to me. It's a yes and. If you like the story, play the game. It's incredible. There's moments that aren't in the show, and there's moments in the show that, or moments in the game that aren't in the show, and shows that are in moments that are in the show that aren't in the game.
You got it.
Yep.
God, that took me forever to get out. But I think that it is the pitch of it being a zombie show is just not. You're going to be very disappointed
Yeah.
if that's what you go in with that level of expectation. This is a story about the love from a father to a daughter, and how terrifying that is.
That's what's so interesting is I asked my mom, because she's always asking me, what are some new shows that you can tell me to watch? And I was like, have you started The Last of Us? And she writes back, oh, the zombie one? And I was like, hold up, because
Well.
it's not. and my mom is such a sucker for just human relationship type stories, like between Joel and Ellie, between episode 3. Wait, when is this coming out? Episode 3?
This will be episode
8 will be.
Eight.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so
Yeah.
we've seen all of that. And honestly, this episode that just came out this past Sunday.
episode 4 for us.
Okay, great. I'm going to get all that
time
wrong.
traveling.
We're
We're time
coming
traveling.
out pre-recording.
But the moments between Ellie and Joel after she killed the man, and then the gun situation that happened, that moment, I was waiting for that moment to happen. I was like, they're going to have a moment where his heart's going to crack open a little bit and have that moment with her. And I'm trying to explain this to my mom. I'm like, it's not, Anyway, she started it and she loves it.
Oh,
That's it.
long story short,
Oh, thank
she
God.
loves it, and she's
Yeah.
I
like,
was
oh, it's
literally
not.
hanging. I was like, "Woof, this could go a number of directions."
Yeah, well, I'm
I have
definitely
She
not
loves
watching
it.
it
She
now.
bawled her eyes out. She was mad at me though because she watched episode 3 and she's just like, I wasn't
How
expecting
dare
that. She was
you.
like, I'm a freaking mess. She's like, but I love it, and
Yeah.
so she was very thankful. And she was like, oh, it's not a zombie.
Well, she's got
So,
some more
yes.
heartache coming for her.
I know.
Okay,
I don't
great.
even want to think about it.
It's,
Yeah.
but
But I
Go ahead.
I love that though.
Yeah.
I love experiencing something that pulls on your heartstrings so intensely. And like I think I texted you after episode 3. I'm like, that legitimately broke me in
I
half.
asked her, I was like, "Have you watched episode 3?" She goes, "You mean the thing that broke me in half?" I was like, "Yeah, that one." She goes, "Yeah, I watched it. Yeah, I watched that thing that ruined
Yeah.
me forever." But it's to me, it's this opportunity to, and it's you say is like, yes, this will make a great show. It could have gone bad.
Oh,
it
yeah.
could have gone
In the
really,
wrong hands.
really
Yeah,
bad. In
for
the
sure.
wrong hands, in the wrong way. And this is the thing that I really applaud about Neil is, just because you have an opportunity doesn't mean you need to take it. And the patience and the restraint that he showed to go, this isn't a feature. There's a better way to tell this. And then people are like, oh, so here's the formula. You do it as a show. That's the formula. It's like, no, because what network are you doing it on? Who's your showrunner?
Oh,
If
yeah.
your showrunner isn't literally coming off of this wildly successful,
Yeah.
completely anticipated thing with HBO, that HBO comes to him and goes, what do you want to do next? Here's your checkbook. What do you
Yeah.
like? I want to make the last with, like,
Yeah.
sure,
Okay.
we're in, boom. And we're going to make the most expensive show that we've ever made.
Which also speaks to, I'm so glad they didn't just drop all the episodes at once. And that's more of like an HBO thing, as in like they picked the right studio to work with.
Yeah, because if you do like a Netflix model
Yeah.
or anything else, and I'm not disparaging that at all. Clearly, it's been a successful model. But I think for this, I think that event viewing is back. I think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we want our Sunday night show.
Yeah.
We
Absolutely.
Want,
Coming
we
on
want that
Monday.
thing. Yeah. And talk about
Yeah.
it. And that to me is why this has become a thing is they didn't try to make this viral. Pardon the pun. It's actually fumble.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
But what they were aiming
It
for
took me a
was
second.
we do, if we tell it with excellence, if we just do it fearlessly, then we will own the conversation Monday morning. And I think that as a world, we came back. Like we're back into the world for the most part. We're trying to find a way to back into community, and we're now super socially awkward. I was like, what the
Now?
fuck do we talk?
my
No, I'm
God.
saying it was
No,
like
we are.
before we were awkward.
It's way worse.
Now it's worse.
And
I
now
know.
it's like,
worse.
now
I'm
we have
so
something
much
to talk
worse.
about. So when you're sitting there and you're like, everyone's kind of feeling weird because no one's talking about the fact that we were just in our room for 2 years.
Yeah.
And we go, did you watch the show last night? Oh my God.
It's
Now
the
we have a
best.
common
Yeah.
thing.
The best. But also even the fact that, because like, again, using episode 3 again, like I needed that week of time to process my emotions.
Yeah, could you imagine trying to go into another episode
Can you
after
imagine
that?
seeing the playing next button loading?
Are you kidding me? Yeah, I need some damn time.
know.
I need
Jonathan
to, I need to
from
go to my
Queer Eye.
therapist session on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
If you don't, Jonathan from Queer Eye. JVN, yeah. Am I saying it wrong?
No, I mean,
Everybody knows
Jonathan
him
Van
as-
Ness.
Okay.
So JVN.
I call him Jonathan.
Jonathan. BFFs.
His reaction was probably the best.
What did he
Because
do?
I just wanted to watch some mushroom zombie head people. And he was just the full, just like, I'm owning all of the tears, and like goes over to his boyfriend or his husband, and the husband's just like, stop. But that's kind of, I think that kind of reaction, and every degree, like, look, if you weren't in tears, besides your soul being dead, which you should get checked out by either a spiritual advisor or a physical professional.
Or Gary.
Gary could probably
Gary.
help you out with it.
Yeah, he'll come on in.
Yeah, not Mike though.
I think that I think that can hit you on all levels. It's not about being the gut punch and look how much we can make you cry. I think that one of the best byproducts of that story is that people sat and thought.
Yeah.
What is my relationship like? What is my relationship to people like this like? And to me, that's the best thing you can do. There's also a lot of stuff that happened as far as like lore.
Yeah.
And we get to find a lot about Joel in a very short amount of time. We get to find
I
a lot of
love
stuff.
that.
We set up some great stuff with Ellie. The Mortal Kombat game will be coming back. So yeah,
Incredible. Well, I do have some questions.
go.
Um,
For me or just anybody? Sorry.
some for you, some for
Okay.
everybody.
Oh,
I'll share my time.
So this might be hard to answer,
Okay.
but I'm curious. your favorite part about being the voice of Joel in The Last of Us game versus your favorite part of playing James in The Last of Us television show.
I have to say, I was listening to something or watching something. I always go with my gut response. So you could ask me tomorrow and it could be a different answer. But for right now, this is my answer. Michael Caine was talking about...
Michael Caine.
Michael
I was
Caine.
going to do the same thing.
I can't do...
I refrained.
It probably would be better than mine. Never. It's my only Michael Caine. He was talking about use the difficulty and how it was a piece of advice that his acting coach gave him, and he was trying to come on stage for this specific scene, but he couldn't because the door was blocked by a chair. And he says, "I'm sorry, sir, I can't come on the stage." He's like, "Why not?" It's because the chair. He goes, "Use the difficulty." He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, is it a comedy? If it's a comedy, fall over the chair. If it's a drama, pick up the chair and smash it. Use the difficulty."
Jessica's in love with this.
Oh
by
my
the
God,
way.
I love it.
Man.
This is incredible.
It is such, regardless. And he
great.
goes, "I applied that to my life." And I believe that as well. For a long time, all growing up, I avoided obstacles. And it hindered me. It as a person, as an actor for sure, and even as a musician, it hindered me. But for me, the thing that I love most about being a part of this story in any capacity is the challenges that it's given me. We could spend hours talking about all the different things that this thing has taught me, the life lessons that it's taught me. But my favorite thing, whether it be Joel or James, and it sounds like it's a punt answer, besides the challenges. And there was a day on set where I was, and we talk about this in the podcast as well, but we the podcast we're doing for HBO, I should say that.
You do like essentially like a episode podcast
Yeah,
after every episode.
they let me host the conversation that happens kind of afterwards with Craig and Neil, and I get to ask all the questions that hopefully everybody else is asking, but regardless, it's what I want to know. But I got to share kind of one of my dark moments on set where I thought I was blowing it. I thought that Craig was, he's a showrunner. He's, boots on the ground. Neil is having to also run Naughty Dog, so he's running the show as much as he can from Santa Monica at Naughty Dog Studios. And so I was without my anchors. And there was a scene that got cut, and I thought it was one of my bigger scenes. I ended up being cut for logistical reasons. Like originally in the script, there's this whole thing that Ellie does back and forth, and when they get to locations, they don't have those streets. He was like, "We're not doing that thing." Yeah. So, but I thought that I was blowing it, and I really spiraled, and I got in my head about it, and Craig wasn't there, and Neil wasn't there, and so when I have a tendency to feel like I'm failing, I withdraw.
Yeah.
So I got really, really quiet, and if you've spent any time around me, that's not me. And so so the next day I show up, and I see Craig, and he comes up and he goes like, "Hey." I'm like, "Hey, man." He goes, "How are you?" I'm like, "Better than yesterday." He goes, "What happened yesterday?" He gets real concerned. And I was like, I just kind of felt like this. And he goes, he picked the perfect word. He said, "You were rattled." And I said, "Yeah, I was rattled." And he said, "Do you have my number?" I was like, "No, I don't have your number." He goes, "Here's my number." He goes, "If that ever happens again, you text me and I will come find you." And
beat you up
and
because you're doing
beat
a
you up
terrible
because
job.
you're failing. And he says, as a showrunner, he has to wear many hats. And one of those is a therapist. But that for me personally was one of my favorite things, because I've also had those moments with Neil, those moments of contention that of a friendship is born from that. But my favorite thing has been seeing how this story has impacted people. And whether it be, like I tell the story all the time, where there's a dad in Indiana, and he said, "I had a daughter, and I started playing that game, and I get to the opening, and I put the controller down because I can't bear the thought of that." And I didn't play the game for 6 months, and then I went back. And he said, "I played through the game, and I got to the giraffe moment," as he called it. And he said, I guess it goes to show you that sometimes you got to do the hard thing to find your giraffe moment. I'm like, fuck me, man. It's those moments, and it's the fact that besides millions of copies sold means that millions of people have experienced this story, and they have healed relationships with their daughter, healed relationship with their father, healed relationship with their loved ones, healed relationships with themselves. They've experienced something that is bigger than them. They're now part of a community, and now to know that's expanding out to people that will never pick up a controller, and that story is now being in the hearts of all new millions of people. That is, and I get to watch. I get to be a part of that. That's the coolest thing.
Absolutely.
That
That's
was
an incredible
one question.
No, that was an incredible answer. Yeah.
This episode of Always Open is sponsored by Shady Rays. Take on the sun with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. I love my Shady Rays. I have, I think, 3 pairs now. I love the crystal rose ones. Those are my favorite. Tons of different options for all different styles and all different looks, outfits, everything you need. They have tons of options, and they are so well made and so durable. I love them. Could not recommend enough. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use the code OPEN for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Again, that's shadyrays.com. Use the code OPEN. And then this question I would love for everyone to answer. So, Pedro Pascal playing Joel, doing a phenomenal job.
Truly.
If you could play on the on-screen version of any character you or someone else voiced, who would you play? So basically, if you could portray any video game character in a movie or TV adaptation.
It doesn't have to just be The Last of Us.
Doesn't have to be Last of Us.
Because I already had my Last of Us one locked and loaded.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's
We'll
your
share
answer,
it.
yeah.
Well, I mean, or not, or whatever you want.
It's oh god, who is she's so buff in the second game.
You're talking about Abby?
Abby. I would, and here's my reasoning. I would love to have a Hollywood fitness trainer just train me to get that buff for the role.
Just destroy people.
And then also like playing like an antagonist who then it gets like is then like I mean I loved, and in the second game I was like, oh no, I'm Team Abby like all the way I can. It was like, because it's one of those things when you're playing a video game and you're just like, I'm gonna do this quest. I killed these 8 guys, and you're like, oh, they have families. And that's just like you're like,
Abby's not the villain from her perspective. Joel is.
Yeah, exactly. So and I think that's a really cool character that would be super sick to portray, but also again just having that trainer.
Oh, yeah.
Just having that trainer.
That used to be, I was like, if I get cast in a Marvel movie.
Being paid
like,
to work out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to get paid to work out.
And there's no other option but to, in the end, look good.
Exactly.
So there's no, you can't fail.
No.
Yeah. Well, that becomes
You gotta
your
do
job,
it.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
Get in that conversation.
Oh no.
Let's hear. What is it?
Can I?
Please.
Sure.
You can. There's nothing stopping you. There's nothing stopping you from doing that right now.
From failing to get buff?
Yeah. There is I understand the financial aspect of like having that trainer and having people that are like, here's the food that you're going to eat, and the concierge level of that. I totally understand. But there's people that I know. I mean, James Willems is transforming his body. I think that
guy's
there's
not human.
He's not. But here's the thing that I really, really respect about James is that he's learning. He's a student, and like I've been watching how he works out and everything. And I reached out to him like a month ago. I can't talk. A month or so ago. And I was like, hey, how are you feeling about this? And he's like, I really need to work on my mobility. I was like, bro, now we're talking, because just because you get big and buff, and like we were talking about the actor before, we don't need to talk about him again. You can swell up and get small like a balloon.
Yeah.
And like Matt Damon's a perfect example. That guy has been literally just like huge yoked to just emaciated and literally put himself in the hospital.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale.
He's not human. Like
That's
his
that's
metabolism.
his hobby at this point.
His metabolism is a superpower. It's not fair.
Yeah.
But the thing that I would we talk a lot about, I was thinking about this last night. It's so stupid. Like the thoughts that I have when I'm alone in the car. In the shower, in the car, those are my two temples that I just like
Those are my
pray.
stupid times.
Those are my stupid times.
My stupid thinking times.
That's me all the time.
That's me of your thoughts.
24/7.
I'm not shitting on your answer, and Jessica, I really want to hear you want to play it again.
Answer. I would love you to.
I was thinking about this conversation
Don't touch
today,
me.
and for you audio listeners, Troy reached out and touched Barbara's shoulder. And that was unwarranted contact.
We don't touch the host.
Jesus. We talk a lot about mental health. And I think
Yes.
that we should. I think that mental health, we should normalize that conversation, because if somebody had a fever for 2 days, they would go to the doctor.
Yeah.
At the very least, take some medicine.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone can go, I've had debilitating sad thoughts, or I haven't gotten out of bed. There's nothing physically wrong with me. I cannot get my heart to be in the place that I need it to be. That is something that we should talk about, like we talk about COVID or the flu or
absolutely.
anything else. So I believe in normalizing that conversation. However, I would add on to that conversation, most of the people that I find that really talk the most about how they're struggling with their mental health never talk about their physical health. And I think that we are a closed system, and those things definitely directly impact each other. So if you are someone who finds that your mental health is a struggle, I would also encourage you to bring that physical health into the conversation as well, and look at what you're eating. Look at how
gut
you're
health and
sleeping.
it's
Gut
Your
health and
gut
brain
biome.
health is
It's
so connected.
it's actually annoying because as a person who is depressed a lot of the time, but also does other stuff. It's when like pre-panty, I was like, I got really into rock
Wait,
climbing.
is that a new phrase?
Panty?
Pre-panty?
Pre-panty?
Pre-pandemic?
Panini.
I don't know if I can get behind it.
Oh, it's
Because
happening,
it sounds like panties, and I don't like the word panties.
You
That's
hate
why I
the
say
word.
it. But pre-panty, I was super into climbing. And
You
One more
were,
time?
I remember.
yeah. And it was one
This
of
was
those
pre-panty?
Yeah, pre-panty. And it's one of those things
Pre-panty.
where it's like you get annoyed because you're like, oh shit, this did fix it.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
it's like I can't believe that drinking water, waking up early, and moving my body, made
doing
me
hard
feel
things
better. I
makes me
hate
feel
that.
better.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's very inconvenient.
It's annoying
super
for
inconvenient.
sure.
My wife said this the other day. She was like, I don't have time to get in the gym. I don't have time for a CrossFit class. I don't have time for a Pilates class. I don't have time for this. What I do have time, though, is to build into my future self. I have time to invest in my 60-year-old self to make sure that I can move, that I'm healthy. The aesthetics of it now are just like it's a perk. It's a byproduct.
Little bonus.
But I twice have sprained my ass. That is a thing you can actually do. I busted my ass.
We finally got there.
Busted his ass.
And the reason why is because I haven't been sitting, standing, sleeping properly. It has nothing to do with how I'm lifting. Well, it does feed into how I lift weights if I lift them correctly. So the people that are like, I threw up 3 plates on either side, like, good for you, dude. What does your spine look like?
Yeah.
It's like, but what was your posture? Were you doing
Yeah.
it correctly?
Yeah, because literally some of the workouts that I do, there's no weight. There was a picture that I put up on my Instagram. I'm literally sitting, and it looks like I'm saying, can you please help me? One of the hardest things I ever did. I just literally just going, hey,
Yeah.
jagoosh. That's why also jumping over chain link fence.
Yeah.
I'm a herp. That's what it looks like. But I just, anyway.
training for it.
Your mental health and your physical health are tied. And that doesn't mean
Yes.
you need to get into a gym and go to a 24 or go to an Equinox.
Go for a walk.
And
Go
go
for
for a fucking walk.
Play Just Dance.
As someone who
And Just Dance.
didn't do that during the pandemic very much.
It impacted
Absolute
you.
correlation. My
Yeah.
mental health took an
Depression.
insane nosedive. I mean, I
Yeah.
talked to you about it a lot because pre-panty,
Damn it. Should've never told you.
I was not like that at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like I completely
training
changed.
together.
Yes, you and I were
Yeah,
training
yeah.
together, and like not often, but enough to keep that kind of
Yeah.
mental health capacity of it up.
Yeah.
And then once the pandemic hit, I still tried to maintain some type of movement, and then as time went on, you just kind of slowly wean off of that.
You're also a social person too. You need people, and when you're
Sometimes.
well, what I'm saying is that as long as you can control that situation, other times you're like, go away. But they're like
so
dolls.
well.
You want to play with them?
But no, it absolutely just, you get used to not doing things, and then you think that that is your reality now, and that you're stuck there. And then once you just start going, even if it's just a little bit, you realize like, oh, this is actually making me feel even just a little better. And then you do a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you start to feel like you could achieve something again and actually get out of that funk. Whereas before it felt so permanent and so deep and so dark. So I couldn't agree with you more. Just start moving.
Yeah, like just do it. You know that Shia LaBeouf video where he's yelling at you and he's like, just do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm like in one of those moments you're talking about, I just like can hear him yelling at me just to do it. And he's just like screaming.
Yeah.
And because it really is so simple when you think about it, just do it. And when you think about like the way your brain works and the fact that I can literally move, say for instance, you're like, I'm not going to eat that cookie and you have it in your hand, just put it back. You have the, like,
You can't
my
do
arm
that.
moves this way, drop. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
just so hard for certain ways, people in your brain, everything.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting.
Willpower
Like, just
is
do it.
difficult sometimes.
I think that there's a healthy balance. One of my favorite phrases or quotes is Oscar Wilde's "all things in moderation, including moderation." And I think that
Yes.
sometimes there's
Griff just
you know what I mean?
was the gif of the woman with all the math equations over her head. She went,
Russell Crowe
Everything
from
in
Beautiful
moderation.
Mind.
In moderation.
Including moderation. It's like sometimes you need to indulge, and it doesn't mean that the cookie is bad.
Oh, yeah.
It means that
Food
there's
is not moral. I like that.
Oh
Yeah.
shit,
I know.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah,
The cookie's not bad. You
It's
drink
not
too much
bad.
water, you'll die.
Yeah. I mean,
like
you'll
with
drown
death.
yourself. Yeah.
if you're
exactly.
in
you will
it,
experience it.
No, it's crazy.
if you're like in water.
Oh no!
yeah.
Also,
No,
if
you
you
can
drink
drink
too much.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I have.
It's something. Yeah, you drink too much water, it'll like shut your kidneys down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. Type of drowning.
It's well, what you're saying, yes, but I'm
Internal
like,
drowning.
you can also
Organs
just
are drowning.
drown yourself
You
in
flood your kidneys from the
yes.
inside.
Yes.
You do it from the inside,
Yes.
as opposed to the outside.
Yeah.
It's possible to do.
just like that.
Yes.
Sorry.
We just
love you
derailed.
guys.
What happened?
Oh, that's a good point to edit out. You had questions?
What about you?
Me?
Live action adaptation of a character that you voiced or not.
I mean, live action is really hard.
Yeah.
As I get older, like there's some roles that are just not right for me to play. The beauty of being in video games is that when I was, how old was I? 36, I think, when I got cast as Joel, maybe. Or 34, maybe something
34,
like that.
yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah.
'Cause you said 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years ago. So I mean, I was 34 and I was playing a 50-year-old.
Yeah.
And looked nothing like. I joke about this. My jeans reflected light.
Okay.
There were a lot of words on my clothes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
Reflections.
I've seen photos of you
it's
from that era.
not good.
A lot of
It's
afflictions
not
going
good.
on.
There
A
was
lot of crosses.
Yeah.
there was a lot of there were a lot. That's what I was gonna say. There were a lot of crosses happening
Everywhere.
just everywhere. And my hair was in multiple directions. It just wasn't good. But I think that
Dark times.
I get to play characters that no one would ever like. You cast Pedro Pascal as Joel. You look at it now and you go, "Holy shit! Why did I never see that?"
Yeah.
And he's killing it.
Oh yeah.
But then the beauty is I get to disappear behind roles, and my favorite compliment is when someone goes, "That wasn't you." I'm like, I did my job.
Hell yeah.
I'm behind the
Hell
role.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think
You're like a chameleon. You're like an SBO the chameleon. Mm-hmm.
Did you look at my
It's one of
IMDb?
your roles.
Oh, look at you.
Great. Pulls it out.
Griff's being a suck up.
I've talked about this before. I really.
I love Team Chaotix. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll go Sonic with you all day long. Let's go. Throw down right now. Growing up, Daredevil was Batman graphic novels and Daredevil were my two my refuges. They resonated with me because they're stories of people born out of tragedy, and the very thing that defines them is one of the worst moments of their life. And from that, they gain strength. And the cool thing about Daredevil is it was an accident that crippled him. It blinded him, and he learned how to develop that into an ability that not only did he, Batman's awesome because he has to play the role of this, billionaire playboy, but Daredevil's the one who's like, I still went to law school.
Yeah.
And I still do this pro bono. And to me, that was just like fucking great. So I look at Daredevil, and that's not something that I think for me, I could, in a live action adaptation, I could play. I've talked about this a lot, where I would love to direct that game as far as like from a cinematic standpoint, because, and what I would want to do is I would want to partner with someone in that community that could really guide me through what the blind experience is like.
Yeah.
Because that to me is something that is, talk about representation, that is something that Steve Saylor is someone who's the blind gamer, and he talks about how we've seen the uptick in diversity, or in
Representation?
no, it's accessibility. Thank you. Has gone up because there's a whole new gamer that's out there that's wanting to experience this, and it's not cut off by the limitations of this. We can actually speak to that. But live action from a game, dude, I normally I have something in the chamber for you every time.
Yeah.
I really, really don't know who I would want to be.
Well, think on it, and
Okay.
then we'll just have to have you on another episode, I guess.
Aw,
That's your
shucks.
answer.
I did that.
Hey.
I'm that good.
Well, loved getting to talk to you about that. Though, I mean, so much. I feel like we could talk about your experience with that show and the game and everything in that franchise for hours. But there's some other new beginnings on the
Yes.
show. Griff,
Hi.
you recently went through, I don't want to say went through a change, but kind of made a decision with the name change.
Yeah.
A lot of people in our audience who are watching this know you as Kayla.
Yeah.
And
From
recently,
sales.
From sales. Kayla from sales.
I'm now Griff from SCF.
Yes.
Yeah.
So could you talk a bit about that process and kind of your thoughts behind it?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really that hard of a process. It was like I've never really connected to my name at all. And I felt like it didn't really reflect me as a person. And then, I don't know, I literally was just like, one day I was like, I don't know if, I feel like I was either like scrolling through Twitter or watching something, I don't know. And I saw the name, and then I heard the name, and I was like, oh, I like that.
That feels right.
It feels good,
Yeah.
yeah. And I like kind of floated it by my partner, and she was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And I was like, but I don't want to make like a big deal out of it. So then that was also the hard part, because like I feel like as soon as I did it, I made very clearly, I made it very clear, because I was like, this is not like it's not a
Like,
gender
related to gender.
trans issue. Like, it's not like that, because I'm like, no, that's not my, I'm not gonna take that light. It's literally just like, it didn't feel like who I was as a person.
It's interesting because as long as I've known you, I've never felt like Kayla fit you.
no.
I've always hated that name.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, named after my great grandfather. But yeah, so it was just yeah, and it's been feeling good,
Yeah.
feeling nice, into it, and
Yeah.
it's fun,
It
it's
suits
flirty,
you.
I feel like I express myself as like kind of like a cool teen boy, and now I feel like that name reflects it. You know what I mean?
Cool teen boy Griff.
Yeah.
That'll
yeah,
be
I'm
your
like
lower
I'm
third
like a
on
cool
the
teen.
podcast.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I feel it is interesting that some of the things that I've chosen, and I think we collectively choose to be convenient identifiers,
Yeah.
are things that have absolutely nothing to do with who we are. If I say, so tell me about yourself, typically people are going to say, this is my name,
Yeah.
which was assigned to me, my age, which I have no control over, where I live, which for most people is not their choice.
Where you were born, which is accident, like you didn't choose that.
Yeah, your parents
to be
did.
born.
Yeah.
And if you're like, well, I'm from Texas, but I
Yeah.
live here, it's like, well, because my dad got a job and we ended up moving.
Yeah.
So it's all or what I do for a living.
Yep.
Is typically people, and the reason why I know most people don't like their job is the number one question I get is like, how do I get to do what you do?
Yeah.
'Cause I hate what I do.
That's so
Terrible
true.
question.
So it's all those things, and for you to be able to reclaim that, man, I love my son's name.
Yeah.
Like Traveler, I think is a fucking cool
No,
name.
that's the thing. You said it, and I was like, oh, that's sick.
That's so
dope, right?
You're gonna take it.
But I fully
Griff's out the door.
Yeah, he could come to me and say, I want to be Jason, and we're like, or he could say, my name is Stephanie.
Yeah.
As a parent, look,
You'll accept it, but you'll be like, hear me out. Traveler's gender neutral.
right?
It's cooler.
I think there's an aspect of that. I look at it now as a parent, and before I think I had the benefit, not the benefit, I had the privilege and the the luxury of having an opinion on it. And as a parent, I don't have that. I don't have the opinion. I am compelled to love him, which means I'm compelled to love whoever he is, or whoever. If he decides to change that, it's like, dude, I don't care, man. It's the soul that I care about.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really respect and commend that for you going, this doesn't speak to me. Can I ask how, like, your family, you talked about how your partner responded. How did your family respond to that?
I haven't talked to my family about it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where, like, they can call me whatever they want to call me. But in my day-to-day, like that, like you said, factors out of your control, to me, that feels like something out of my control. And I also feel like, again, for me, because it's not directly tied to, like, my gender identity, that it doesn't feel as necessary for me to, like, have to get my family on board. Because, like, it's just like, well, I mean, they're not on board with a lot. Like, you know, it's like there's a lot of stuff you don't tell your parents.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
For both of your benefits.
yeah, for both of your benefit. Like, it's not like to me that would be like trying to get my mom on board with me being like, yeah, I went out and got drunk last night.
Yeah.
Like, she's never gonna be okay with that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, whatever.
Family loves to give unsolicited opinions
Oh,
too.
yeah.
You know? It's
Yeah.
just I didn't
Don't
ask
need
you.
that. Yeah.
Jessica getting straight to the
I didn't
point.
Yeah,
ask you.
everyone's also still processing the whole gay thing. So I'm like, whatever. We don't know. We're fine.
Tack it on to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Two,
Oh, and
two
also,
in one.
I'm sorry. And also this too.
Yeah.
Are you hoping that it eventually, because I know you're a little kind of flexible on it.
Yeah.
You know, go by Griff, more public facing, and
Yeah.
you're kind of whatever behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But are you hoping that it becomes like a more permanent thing,
I don't know.
maybe like a legal change
I
down
don't know.
the road?
I have no idea.
Just kind of playing it by ear?
Yeah.
I
love it.
love that.
I've never planned. I've never planned.
It is with two F's though.
Yeah, she did ask me
I
that.
confirmed
You asked
it
me
because
that.
I was
It is
like,
two S.
Oh, I got it.
Is there a legacy of one F?
I don't know. I just like when I was typing it in my phone, I was like one or two F's. That just could be my dumb ass. You know? You just never know.
I did make the choice to use two I's instead of an O.
Oh,
Wait.
Griffin.
Yeah.
As a
Oh,
total.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I just seen.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just like the way it looked.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It fits you. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then Jessica,
Yeah,
also a new beginning for you.
I did.
You got engaged.
I did.
Oh, congrats.
About
here,
what,
let
like
me
a month
see it.
ago?
Yes, the beginning
pretty.
of December.
Ooh.
I did. It was very nice. Yeah, we've been together for 8 years, but
Whoa.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, well, okay. 7.5.
Okay.
We
you can say
round
it.
up because we started banging 6 months before we made it official.
There you go. There you go.
No, I feel you.
You know?
Yeah, no. That,
So you
I do that.
physically have been together.
Together.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. For 8 years, and as in, one penis. No, just kidding. But yeah, so ever since it happened, everyone keeps asking, you know, how does it feel different and all that? The only thing that really feels strange and different and like a new beginning is now I'm like, in probably not a great way, obsessed with like him not dying.
Oh.
So like
Oh,
so like
that'll change.
Because you don't want. Yeah, because then you have to be
That'll
a widow.
change.
exactly, because now I'm like, all right.
Great. Now I'm that.
Yeah, now I'm a widow.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's now become a burden
Yeah.
because I'm like, all right, I'm making this commitment to you now.
Yeah.
So like, you need to, like when he goes, he's like, I'm going to go to the corner store and get some Rillos as we smoke the green herbs of the earth.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful. Love you. Come back. Don't die. What?
exactly.
Yeah,
I say that to him.
Yeah,
I say that to him.
Yeah, don't get,
And I'm like,
don't
no,
go
I need you
home.
to be careful. And he's like, I'm going to be fine. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, you never know.
I always tell Trevor he needs to remain in pristine condition at all
Absolutely.
times.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because before the
Take
ring
care
was
of
on my
this
finger.
shit.
Yeah.
No, like from a like health standpoint.
No, yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
you better not get a scratch on that.
Yes, because before the ring was on my finger, I was like, I could bust out of here anytime, you know? But now I'm like, oh, shit.
Wait till you have to
This
go through
is-
legal proceedings
Yeah.
to not do
What
it.
a
I was going to say,
lovely
you could still bust out.
sentiment.
You haven't checked
you're
the
right.
box on your W-2 yet.
No, you're right. That is
That's
true.
true, that's true.
But I think,
You're still filing single.
yeah, yes. But and you guys might know this.
It
I
is
don't know if you
tax
know this, but I
season.
come from a divorced family. And not only are like my immediate parents divorced, like everybody in my family is divorced. My grandparents, my aunts and uncles. So I've never really had like an amazing relation, model
a huge
to,
family,
to
though.
look. I do. I got an Italian, Irish, Portuguese family. It's
6
crazy.
Christmases.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah, it's
thinking.
a
I was
lot.
like, that's
It's
a lot of Christmases.
They're all over the place, and so it's just a lot. So with this commitment was a big thing for me. And like anytime I see a couple that's been together for like 30 years, I'm like, how did you do it? Like something went wrong, but they're like, no, it's real. I'm like, Okay. And over time, as we've been together, again, for 8 years, I've started to believe in that. And I've gone to therapy and have worked through it. So he was like, are you ready to do this? I'm like, all right, let's do it. So here we are on this journey.
You're breaking your...
I'm going to break the cycle, hopefully.
You're a Disney movie. You're addressing your familial trauma and you're breaking the cycle.
Thank you.
Jesus.
You are Encanto.
Yeah.
You're Moana.
Yes.
No wonder you grew up, or
Fucked
you
up.
have this, because it's like everything we watched as a kid is like, which parent is going to be the dies?
Yeah.
Both of them?
Literally.
Yeah.
That's weird, right? It's
a little weird.
Every single thing's just like, and then we're either going to kill the parent on screen or they're already
Or
dead.
we'll just hear the gunshot and the
Yeah.
birds will fly up, and we're
Yeah.
like, Mom's not coming back anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that little deer now grows by himself
Oh my
in
God.
the
Yeah.
forest with a bunny.
How is
So
that one
many
of the
scenes-
first movies we ever saw as
Yeah.
a kid was Bambi?
Yeah.
How
Well,
is
yes.
that?
How many-
Bambi,
Yes.
Fox and the Hound?
Fox and
Dumbo
the
for
Hound,
me.
Dumbo, Baby Mine.
Dumbo? I still can't watch Dumbo.
Oh, I can't watch it for a different reason.
Baby. Jesus Christ, that scene was like, could I go see my imprisoned mother?
Yeah. It's just...
Jesus.
Just
It's a
put
lot.
In the Arms of an Angel by Sarah McLachlan. Go over that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy. for
I'm
you.
excited.
Congratulations.
You guys
Thank
are
you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Can't wait to.
And here's,
appreciate it.
if I may,
Please,
one
please.
thing that'll really help you feel better about death is an inevitability, right?
It is.
Not if I could help it.
I mean,
I
Ray
struggle-
Kurzweil is
I
fighting
struggle with
against
that
it.
because I'm currently searching on what is beyond death, whether there is something or not. I'm a very spiritual person.
Sure.
We could always talk about that offline. But yes, I hear you.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
So what that is, the answer is yes.
Okay.
But what that is, well, we really can get off on
Okay,
that.
yeah.
But the thing that I would
Again,
say
you'll
to you
just have to come back.
that will help you feel better about your partner and their mortality is just get a really good insurance policy.
Like a really good one.
Be really good.
All expected
Like
to
the
be
one that
really
you have to
sentimental,
pay
beautiful
extra
moment.
for.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're
And
like,
not connected to your job either. Gotta have two.
yeah, 'cause
Look at you
if-
guys.
If they're
Oh.
just like, you're like, how you feeling?
Sign this.
You know, I don't
Hey,
give a
sign
shit.
this.
You know,
Sign
Should I up this?
You
premium?
guys.
Yeah. Every time he coughs, up the premium by 10 cents.
I'm gonna go to the
killing me.
store. Fuck it. Come back. Don't come back. I don't care.
You're killing me.
I'm rich either. Either I get you and we
Okay.
get this loving relationship, or I am fucking loaded.
Yeah. Also,
Right.
Can I assuage your other thing about the divorce?
please do.
Hear me out.
Okay.
You have to remember. A lot of our foremothers had to get married to
Yes.
some guy.
Yes.
Because otherwise they couldn't have a car or a house or a bank
Or a
account.
bank account.
Yo.
So they just had to.
That was like
and,
20 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like,
Yes.
and their
That was.
mom
That
was
was in
telling
the
them that the
90s.
guy that was harassing them after school every day was probably a good guy, and they should just like let him take him out to the supermarket or what is it, the
Yeah.
soda fountain shop.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
and
you're
like,
right.
and then they just like married some dude at like 17, and then they were like, if you married someone that you were dating at 17, do you think you'd still be together when you're 40?
No.
That's why the
I
divorce
have
rate was so
been-
high.
I've been like 15 people since I was
Exactly.
17.
You're
Yeah.
mostly
Oh,
in your
100%.
almost final form.
Okay,
So like,
I
you
hope
know,
so.
8 years in, you feel like, yeah, no, this is probably pretty stable.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why people are better at being married now.
Yeah.
Because this is not just some dude off the street
That is true.
that will get them access to a bank account.
you- Yeah,
Daughter,
that's right.
you're marrying him,
Yeah.
and together we shall join our farms. And for some reason, I sound like I'm from New England.
Yeah.
New England
no
Farms,
reason.
So
the
what's
very
your
famous one.
dowry?
Yeah. Yes. What do you bring? What do you offer for my daughter's hand?
Yeah.
Yes.
Three
A
sheep.
land-based marriage.
She's worth at least 2 goats. Yes.
Just make sure
goats.
you don't touch them before you go through customs.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
you're
the
right.
one
Way to
You're right.
bring it
Call
back.
back. Wait, but were we recording that?
Yeah.
Part? We did record that, or was that
hope
before we started
weren't.
recording?
I
don't know.
hope we weren't.
I don't know.
People
I
just
forget.
don't know.
We've been talking for
been
so long
talking.
that I don't remember what
mics
was
keep
before or after. Are you guys okay?
No, it's good.
It's still
Okay,
good.
I can
okay.
hear you.
It's,
Okay.
We're still good.
We've never sounded better.
Maybe like 2
Hi,
bars.
Barbara. How are you?
Hi, welcome to the show. I know we're so it's so funny because with this iteration of Always Open, I'm like, we'll keep the show a little shorter, a little tighter, and I'm like, we're
First
not.
guest is Troy Baker.
Yeah,
No,
we're not going to have a short show with Troy Baker.
We ran out of film.
We do have some audience questions.
All right.
I want to get to at least one of them. And I will say, if you have a question for us for the show, you could email us at alwaysopen@roosterteeth.com. We'd be happy to take your questions, give you some advice, or just talk about it, or judge you,
Or
whatever
you
you
could
want.
text her at
All right, so here is our question. So in November 2022, I had my entire life ripped up and was basically given the option to move across the country or be homeless. Ended up settling down in San Antonio from North Jersey. Drove the 1,900 miles on my own and was only able to take what fit in my car. What advice do you have for someone who has left behind everyone and everything and has to start over? From a 28-year-old who is pretty lost in life.
Please, I don't want to take it over.
Well, the first thing that came to my mind, and I did this actually recently, was I used Bumble BFF for the first time.
Okay.
If I don't know if you're looking for, well, there's mainly like ladies on this. I've come across some dudes, and I'm like, are you just looking for sexuals? I don't know, but anyway,
Looking for sexuals. That's the name of the episode.
That was actually the alternative title for Always Open.
Looking for sexuals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met one person on there. She's pregnant now and has a child, so we're still living different lives. But I don't know. That's a good point. To like meet some people. There's a lot of community-based stuff.
Yeah. What I did, I moved here. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
I was alone. What I did was like, you could do something like, usually there's like a subreddit for your city.
Yeah.
For people who are new to the city, and you can post there about your interests. And then you'll get put in a Discord group with a bunch of nerds, and then you make friends with them. And then, that can work. You can, like you said, Bumble BFF. Sometimes you match with people on Tinder, and it's not
Yep.
looking for sexual.
Yes.
It ends up being a cool friendship that you have for 6
sexual,
years.
sure.
That. And I feel like there's like also I know like not having community and not having like a place that you feel like you can call home is very hard. And I feel like maybe it's like having to do the work within yourself to kind of shift what that means. Because if you can't have right now a support system, instead of like just being like, oh, I have to like tough it up and like make my own or go back and deal with that. It's like you could always just you can broaden what that means for you, even if it's just like, oh, I have this coworker, maybe we have the same interests, and I know that I can like talk to this person. I feel like we as people are more social than we think, but think that no one else is, so we don't talk to each other.
Yes.
So maybe just like working past that and just like opening yourself up to like experiences and people that you may not have in the first, like normally.
Like hobbies too. Like if
Yeah.
you like a certain hobby or something, I don't know, you like painting, go
Yeah.
to paint
classes.
Or, like,
Classes, yeah.
Again, like
Yeah.
climbing. I didn't climb before I moved here.
Yeah.
To me, there is almost nothing more exciting than getting to start over.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Like-
Same thing.
Like clean sheets.
Clean sheets. It's who do you want to be?
Yeah.
What kind of life do you want to live? What do you want to try? What do you want to do? It's like an open book.
Yeah.
You basically have opportunity to reinvent yourself if
Change
that's what
your
you
name.
want.
Change your name.
Change your name. I mean, obviously, I'm very sorry that whatever happened to you was clearly not the greatest situation for
Oh,
you,
yeah.
having your life ripped up from you. I'm sorry that you experienced that, but I'm so excited for you. Yeah.
That's a great answer.
You and I are 100%
Optimistic.
aligned in that. I love that you guys have practical, like, you know what I
I'm
mean?
an earth sign.
I instantly go
Capricorn.
to like, if your life was a movie right now, if you could somehow step outside of being in your own movie and just observe it for a second, you're at the origin story.
Yeah,
like,
this is the first
great
scene.
It's literally how a great story starts. You got popcorn, you're like, holy shit, this is what is she gonna do now? Or what are they gonna do now? I think that you are exactly what you said. It is a fresh start. And being able to lean into that, and for me, it's always hard to look at it as changing the currency of the conversation from this happened to me to this is happening with me.
Yeah.
And that is a really, really, I'm not discounting that as a practice or even as a concept, but I would say to you, you did have choice in that because you could have chosen annihilation. You could have chosen being homeless.
Yeah.
There's a thing in you that says, I can do something about this. And you did.
Hell yeah.
Because right now, I have someone who's going through this right now. They are choosing to be homeless. And they could turn it around if they wanted to. And so there is a choice that you had. and you chose life. You chose to be better. That goes for anybody else. If you're, whatever your situation is, if you are fighting, there are people that right now, as we know, are contemplating ending life. And you have the ability to go, I choose life. And that sometimes for some people can be a minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day thing. But the point is, if you view your own life as a movie, it's a great movie because you know it's going to get better.
And you could write the plot.
And you get to write the plot.
Yes. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
And also, you're never too old for anything.
No.
Any changes.
No
So
shit.
being 28, you're so young.
I
So
moved out
young.
to LA and I did this. I remember exactly where I was. It was the 7-Eleven that was right at Cahuenga and the 134, the 170
It's my favorite
in
Boy
North
Meets
Hollywood.
World character.
Cahuenga.
Cahuenga. It's the cousin that never showed. When in one episode and got cut, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what I've done because I realized that I didn't have enough money to go back. And it was like Coronado, burn the ships. And I realized I was here.
Yeah.
For good or for bad, I was here. And there's something that happens to all of us. It's something that happened to me when I was like, I have to. And there's a great pulling from the have to. It's either that or I go back home and I somehow find a way to quote, fail.
Yeah.
But I just encourage you to, I've known what it's like to start over from scratch, and it's the best thing that happened to me. And I did that when I was 30. So
Nice.
Yep.
Yes.
Also, like, I had like a super, super shitty, like, past 8 months. And, like, I remember the advice I got at one point that I hated and made me really mad. And I was like, it's fucking stupid. Shut the fuck up. I fucking hate you. But then, like, now I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, no, you're right. But, like, it was like, everything is temporary and nothing's forever.
Yeah.
And, like, no matter what you're going through or what's happening right now, and it feels like it's the worst, you will eventually be able to look at it in the past behind you.
yes.
And hearing it right now fucking sucks. And you're like, no, you're not. No, absolutely not. Now that I'm at the other end, I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You were right.
Well,
You're correct.
It's a way you could think about
Yeah.
everything that you've been through, every hardship in your life. You've thought at that moment, this is
This is
the
it.
this is it. This
Yeah.
is the worst thing, and
Yeah.
then you've gotten through that.
Yeah.
So why not the next?
You
And
wanna
the
hear
next,
two-
and the next.
Some of it you laugh at now.
Two cliches.
A lot of it. I like that.
Two cliches. One that you said, or not one that you said,
Everything's
but
temporary.
well, that,
Nothing's
but
forever.
it's the only way to get through it is just to get through it.
Yeah.
So there's that cliche, and then
Yeah.
for you is you've survived. What is it? 100% of your hardest or worst days.
Yep.
Yeah.
So like it's like
Which again, you hear it and
I know.
you're like, oh,
I know.
But then it's like, I
But it makes
guess
sense.
it's true.
But
Yes.
yes, it's true.
I think being able to hear that from either different people or hear it when you need to hear it, because sometimes we get wisdom when we're not ready to receive it.
Yeah.
That's definitely happened for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Someone has repeated something that I was like, I wasn't ready to hear that when I was X amount of age or in this place of my life, but now I am. But someone turned me on to this, which I thought was really fascinating, is that you experienced the single most traumatic thing that ever happened in your life. You experienced at the beginning.
Being born.
Coming out
Yeah.
the,
Being
the
born.
womb.
Yeah,
You're-
that's the worst thing that's ever happened to anyone.
It's traumatic, which is typically why we believe that we don't remember
that's
it.
right,
You were
yes.
ripped from the only world that you ever knew. All of a sudden, the way that you breathed had to change.
The way you eat changed.
You were ripped. You were a part of a person, and now you're not part of that person anymore.
I hate this.
I
It's
know,
the
I
most
know, Barb, I'm
traumatic
with you.
thing when you were the most vulnerable, and you survived that. So you can survive anything.
Can't think of a better note to end the show on. Thank you all so much for being here. Troy, thank you for coming in
Thank
to
you
be
for
on the
having me
premiere.
again.
Jessica, Griff,
Thank
thank you for
you.
being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our premiere of Always Open. We hope you continue to watch every single week. We will not be taking season breaks, so just keep on watching. We will be on the All Good No Worries YouTube channel, as well as all the social channels. Look for All Good No Worries. We're going to be posting some very fun content and other very fun shows for you guys to look out for. And if you have questions, as I mentioned before, email those to alwaysopen@roosterteeth.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.